This is the day the Lord has made. We rejoice and we are indeed glad in it. Welcome to our monthly prophetic updates. Once a month, as God permits, we will engage in a update on prophetic events. We live at a time in which, more than ever before, there is a convergence. Matthew 24 is not only being unveiled right before our eyes, but there is an acceleration, and the magnitude of these signs are alarming. As a church, the Bible is clear that when these things begin to occur, lift up your head, change your focus, for your redemption draws near. Luke 21:28. Then in verse 36, watch and pray that you be counted worthy to escape all these things and to stand before the Son of Man. Luke 21:28, Luke 21:36. And so we felt the need in 2026 to begin we honestly cannot keep up with prophetic events. There are some teachers of prophecy that I follow who bring us prophetic events on a daily basis. There's one of these guys I follow. He brings prophetic unfoldings twice a day. That is how much these events are occurring. And so we felt within our heart that it was necessary. Traditionally, when Israel is celebrating the Feast of Trumpets, Rosh Hashanah, I will simply do a series on end times. But again, we're talking about UFO, UAPs, Persia and Israel and America, the great eagle. They are about to log on, and wars and rumors of wars and famines and earthquakes in diverse places. And the Lord admonishes us that we should ensure that when these events begin to occur, we do not allow ourselves to be carried away. Because lawlessness shall abound, the agape of many love shall wax cold. And so we have selected once. Now I can do it anytime in a month based upon my schedule. It doesn't have to be always the last Monday of the month. But again, I found it in the past 2 Mondays. I find it convenient. Hey, Vonnie, welcome, Brother K, to do it. So we want to talk about, again, I will continue to bring updates based upon current happening. Hey, Steve. Right now, the world is receiving more information on these things that are flying in the sky. Unfortunately, because the church has been taught the error that the sons of God that mated with the daughters of men and produced Nephilims were the sons of Seth. So the Western church has no theological, biblical answer to these things that are flying around the place. And quite recently, President Obama, former president, was asked if they are real, and he assured them that it was real. And then the current president said, well, he gave up classified information. And so he has decided to release the files. I still don't believe he will do that, but he has said he will release the files that further lends credibility and maximum information to the reality that there are beings that are invading our region, our realm. The natural realm was given to Adam. The spirit realm got plethora of angels and fallen angels and demons operating that dimension. But God kept the two divided. Unless you get into the occult, where you begin to dabble into the occult, then you have access to that realm. For those of us who are Pentecostals, God will occasionally open our eyes or come in a dream or show us visions. And that is our access to the spirit realm. but we cannot access the spirit realm voluntarily by ourselves. It has to be initiated by the Holy Spirit. But when you're in the occult, your third eye is open. You are given demonic assistance to help you astral project. So astral projection is when I leave my body through demonic intervention and I travel in the astral plane. It's illegal, it's ungodly, it's an abomination. That is why the Bible frowns on people that practice sorcery, divination, witchcraft, or necromancy. We are not permitted to access the spirit realm without divine intervention. God must be the one to initiate it. But again, there are those in our midst who are initiated, into the occult, and they do have access. Limited though, because many times when they move into that dimension, they do not encounter the angels of God. I believe if a witch or wizard leaves their body and encounter an angel, they will come back and never want to leave again. And that is how fearsome and militant they are. We also want to remind you that every time we are teaching on eschatology, we are talking about spiritual warfare, because the book of Revelation is the most profound treatise found in our 66 books of the Bible that unveils the reality that the earth realm has been and is being influenced by the supernatural realm. So in Genesis, we know that God intervened by creating the heavens and the earth. Elohim, a divine being, God is spirit. So the natural reality came from a supernatural dimension. But however, throughout the Bible, God warns his servants not to get involved with any form of occultism that grants us access to the spirit realm. Very, very dangerous. Okay? But the Bible is supernatural, Genesis to Revelation. But what happened in the book of Revelation, like the book of Daniel, the veil was opened and we had access to future events that are imminent, but these events are being influenced by what's happening in the realms of the spirit. Okay? So every time you are approaching the book of Revelation, always remember, it is not just prophetic, it is spiritual warfare. A lot of exciting things in the book of Revelation. So we felt the need because, you have some Christian commentators and other religious leaders who are posting on Facebook, and it seems as though they are trying to delegitimize Israel. If Israel is not the chosen people, if she did not remain the chosen people, we are chosen because we're grafted in, then you have taken away, and that's why I always warn theologians, be careful when you make these declarations. Because the issue about Israel's presence in the Middle East is debatable from a secular paradigm. I mean, if you're dealing with international relations, it is being contested by the Palestinians, and the United Nations and other Western political entities have joined with Islam to say that you have no legitimacy here. Why? They do not succumb to the covenants of the Bible. God's covenant with Israel is the Old and the New Testament. You fail to realize that when Jesus established a new covenant at the Last Supper, everyone who was in that room were Jew. At times we forget. The foundation of the church is not Rome. The foundation of the church is Jerusalem. Tarry ye in Jerusalem. Unfortunately, because of Constantine, the foundation of the church was hijacked, and now many Western trained theologians do not see the relevance of Israel as it pertains to God's covenants, old and new. And so a diabolical heresy was injected into Christendom by folks such as Augustine, Roman Catholic, Martin Luther, Roman Catholic, father of the Protestant movement, but he never recanted. Martin Luther died a Catholic priest. Don't miss that in history. And so the enemy was successful in influencing the early fathers, because at that time, remember, Jerusalem was destroyed, so they could not foresee the restoration of Israel back in the homeland. 70 AD, Titus attacked, partially destroyed the city, exiled many Jews. Some were still there. And then 135 AD, Hadrian came and basically drove most of the Jews out. Few left. There have always been Jews in the Promised Land since the days of King David. So you're talking about well over 3,000 plus years ago. Always Jews in the land. Okay, so they were exiled. And they became nomadic. They became wanderers. And they wandered throughout Europe and Asia. There are Jews that are being found in India. The tribe of Manasseh has been located in India. And many of them went to Russia, the Khazarians, and the Arab world and North Africa. One of my mentors, Amir Safati, his Jewish family settled somewhere in North Africa. So if you look at Amir, he doesn't look European. He looks Arab, or he looks like someone from North Africa. Okay? So if you do not understand Israel's role in the unfolding of end-time events, you have no means of understanding the signs of the times. Because the fig tree, the budding of the fig tree, when you see the fig tree come back to life, said Jesus, know that it is near, almost at the door. So May 14, 1948 was one of the most profound prophetic event when the dry bones these dry bone leaves came back to life. And so if you do not have a biblical understanding of Israel's role in the end time plan of God, it will be very difficult for you to interpret the signs of the times. Matthew 16:3, you can interpret the sky, but can you not discern the signs of the times? Remove Israel from the equation. That is why many of our pastors who are upholding replacement theology, watch them, they don't teach on end times. Because there is no way you can teach on end times from the New Testament paradigm, talking about the rapture, talking about the Armageddon, talking about the 7-year tribulation. You cannot teach on end times and ignore Israel's rule, because most of Revelation is about Israel. Let's get that straight. And so we have a situation in which there are many Christians who are not adequately living the life of the 5 wise virgins, because somehow they are under the spiritual canopy of Western trained theologians who do not see Israel's role in the end times. So we said that we wanted to talk about the woman, Revelation 12, the dragon, and the church. You cannot separate the church from Israel as it pertains to our inheritance. Romans chapter 11 is very clear. Some branches were broken off so that the church could be grafted in. No means by which we can interpret the current signs unless we take the foundation of the church from Rome. Many of our ministers are representing the Roman perspective of biblical interpretation. The systematic theology, the hermeneutics are Eurocentric. And if you are following the Western style of interpretation, Israel is done. God is only dealing with the church. That information is erroneous. Okay? He came to his own. And because his own did not receive him, he turned to the world. But it was always intent, from Old into New Testament, that there will be a nation of priests that God would use to reach the Gentile world. That's why your Bible is divided into Jews and Gentile. Even the Christians that were being proselytized by the Apostle Paul, they were called Gentiles. Okay? So let us not forget that if you do not pay attention to Israel, the reestablishment, prophetic event, the success, the desert is once more blossoming, her military, her technological advancement, and everything that is occurring now in the Middle East, yes, she will go through very challenging times. But nevertheless, at the rapture, let's be reminded, Jesus comes for the church. The second coming is not for the church. The second coming is to deliver Israel from the battle of Armageddon. Revelation 16:16. He goes to engage the Antichrist and rescue Israel. That's what brings Jesus to the earth the second time, not for the church. And that is clearly stipulated in the first few verses of Zechariah chapter number 12 and Zechariah chapter number 14. Read the first opening verses. Very clear. Okay. So if you do not understand global events from the Jewish paradigm, you'll be all over the place. It's like the book of Revelation. You know, I always tell people, I summarize Revelation. Revelation chapter 1 is your introduction. Revelation chapter 2 and 3 is the church age. Once you come to Revelation chapter 4, there is a shift. He said, come up higher that I will show you things that is to come. So he's taken to heaven, and now from heaven, Revelation 4, there is worship. Revelation 5, the Lamb is given the seal, the 7 seals, and he begins to break it. In Revelation chapter 6 to Revelation 19, we are in the 7-year tribulation. Revelation 20, what happens? There is a lull. So the devil is cast into the bottomless pit. The Antichrist and false prophet, they are cast into the lake of fire. The judgment of the goat and sheep nations occur. Revelation 20. Jesus establishes the millennium kingdom, and he rules the earth for 1,000 years, and we will be here. After the 1,000 years, the devil is let out, final judgment, and then we have the great white throne judgment. And then the apostle Paul says, John says in 21 of Revelation, I saw a new heavens and the earth. And then Revelation 22, the conclusion. He who has an ear, let him hear. That's the whole book of 22 chapters of Revelation. And so if you try to study the Bible like I always say within the Liberian context, don't treat the Bible like jollof rice. You got to treat the Bible like an 8-course meal. Once you go into the various sections of the book of Revelation, it is simple. It is time sensitive. Prophecies are time sensitive. You have to, that's why I really love the approach to prophecy in which I take the dispensational theological perspective. Because we're in the dispensation of grace. And this season ends when Jesus returns and begins the dispensation of the millennium. And so when we approach Revelation, we come to Revelation chapter 12. There is a woman and she has 12 stars on her head, and the sun and moon are under her feet. And this woman is in pain, in labor pain, and she gave birth to a son who will rule the world. I listened to Western commentaries, and it said the woman in Revelation 12 is the church. How can the church give birth to Jesus? I thought it's the opposite. But again, theologically, they are trained to reject everything that represents Israel. Obviously, if you know the dream of Joseph, you know the woman is Israel. And in Revelation 12, the dragon tries to kill the child. Who is the child? Jesus. And the child is caught up to heaven. Is he not in heaven? And once the child is caught up to heaven and the dragon realized he couldn't kill the child, the dragon began hey, Gary, no, it's Wednesday. Today I'm doing a special. Once a month, I will do a review of end time events. No, it's special. Only once a month you're going to have this. So Wednesday, we will have our regular Dominion mandate. But once a month, I will do an update on prophetic events. When we hear our politicians talking about the reality of UFOs and the realities of these entities that are invading our space, take note. Jesus said the heart of man will fail because of the things that are coming upon the earth. Strange things will happen as it was in the days of what? Noah. The fallen angels are reappearing. They are making their presence known. Why are these things appearing? Pay attention. When the rapture occurs, Your politicians will simply say they were taken by the aliens. They are not aliens, they're demons masquerading. Okay? Be not deceived. Even the devil masquerade as an angel of light. So we come back to Revelation 12, and this is the point I want to strike from Revelation 12:7. War broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought with the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought, but they did not prevail, nor was place found for them in heaven any longer. So the great dragon was cast out, the serpent of old, called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was cast to the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. The Lord said, when, last week, the UAPs and UFOs that are appearing, these are Satan's frontline soldiers. But eventually, even Satan will be cast down in the tribulation to make his HQ in the earth. That is why the Antichrist will be the embodiment of the spirit of Satan. Two individuals were influenced by Satan directly. He said Judas, Satan entered him, and he went out to execute the betrayal of Jesus. That's why I say that the Antichrist is transhuman. He's not an ordinary, Jared Kushner's an Antichrist. Oh, maybe it's Bill Clinton. Oh, maybe it's Donald Trump. Nah, they don't fit the description. The Antichrist is a Nephilim. He's a hybrid. The mark of the beast is when your nature is changed into the nature of the beast. Mark of the beast means the nature of the image. Let us make man in our image and after our likeness. The enemy is a copycat. So finally, he will recreate man after his image and his likeness. He simply wants to copy God. How do I know? Revelation 14. Whoever receives the mark of the beast, you cannot be redeemed. The only reason why a man will not be redeemed is when you are no longer a human. So always remember what I teach you. The enemy operates based upon the principle of grooming. He prepares you. He knows how to broil a frog alive. Transgenderism is preparation for transhumanism. You are being psychologized. Your children are being groomed. Why do you think Hollywood spend so much large sums in creating the Superman and the Spider-Man and the Iron Man and all of these are all uber beings, super beings. I like it, but I understand where they're going. Transformers? What are the Transformers? Do you not know that demons are transsexual? They can take on any sex. So if a woman is attacked by a nightmare, it's a man. The same nightmare may attack a man, and he's a woman. But because we in the West have been groomed by religiosity to take off our supernatural lenses when we are reading the Bible, you're reading the Bible, but there is darkness because you're reading the Bible and you're trying to intellectualize. Well, angels had intercourse with the daughters of man and produce. How can angels have sex? Ask people who have been polluted and desecrated by nightmares. Every culture known to humanity, anthropology, has recorded fallen angels mating with human women. Every culture. Greek culture, Roman culture, Babylonian culture, Mesopotamia, African culture, they are always supernatural beings that are messing with women. They never stopped. I was talking to my son, I was talking about the incursion that occurred in Genesis 6. The Bible said that there were giants in the land in those days and after. They did not stop. That is why when Joshua came into the promised land, there were Zumzamim and Raphadim and Nephilim. They were still there. Now, the enemy has adopted a different strategy. He will seek to change man's nature through science. It's called transhumanism. But you're not reading the Bible from a Jewish perspective. So you're not seeing the supernatural. You're reading the Bible from Rome. And so, despite my business schedule, I'm like, okay, Lord, I've been diving into this topic for almost 40 years. I need to put a little bit effort in educating God's people that when Jesus comes, he comes for the five. Once saved, forever saved is a myth. Spiritually and intellectually, it doesn't make sense. He who endures to the end shall be rescued, saved. That word saved means to be rescued. So when the bridegroom comes, Matthew 25, he comes for those that have maintained the oil in the lamps. If we are eternally saved, all 10 virgins would have gone. So Jesus himself said, Luke 21:36, watch and pray that you be counted worthy to escape all these things that are coming upon the earth, tribulation, and to stand before the Son of Man. Another proof that the church does not go through the tribulation. Jesus is not an abusive husband. He will not allow his enemy to molest his wife. The church is removed. Very clear in Isaiah. So, the dragon realizes that his time is short. What does he do? And this is what I want to bring to the attention of the church. Because there are many conservative Christians, there are many evangelical Baptists, there are many, the Catholics are strictly anti-Jew, so I don't even go there. There are many Pentecostal ministers who continue to claim that Israel is no longer significant in God's New Testament agenda for humanity. So God has given up on his firstborn and he's focusing on Gentiles. That's pride. To think that you are more important to God than his chosen people, you are prideful. You did not replace Israel. You are not a substitute for Israel. You are given an opportunity to benefit from the covenant that God made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And so he said to Abraham, if you can just take your time and read Genesis 12, 1-3, through you, I will bless the nations of the earth. Through you, I will bless all nations. So he's blessing the Gentiles through Abraham. And now the Gentiles are claiming they are more important to God than the chosen people. Sons and daughters of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. How does that make? I'm talking logic now. I'm talking simply, we are all educated. This is simply critical thinking. I'm not trying to take you into no trick about spiritual warfare. Simply critical thinking. I will bless you and I will make you a blessing, and all nations, all Gentiles will be blessed because of you, Abraham. So God has taken Abraham and his descendants, and he's cast them away, and he has brought the Gentiles to replace them. Replacement theology. Thank you, woman of God. Order, my daughter Agnes, how can it be? How can you replace the chosen people? But again, Western theology comes from Rome, Augustine, Martin Luther. Adolf Hitler read the writings of Martin Luther to justify massacre of 6 million Jews. Be careful of false doctrine. This is why, people say I'm too particular, I don't just bring anybody to teach my people. No, we pay the price. We study and we continue to study. Why? Deception is the #1 sign that we are in the end time. Deception is not the absence of truth. Deception is the corruption. They will give you a little bit of truth and they will add the part that is falsehood. You're still preaching deception. Be careful. So in these end times, we must remind God's people that you're not going to stand before God and say, my pastor didn't teach me these things. My pastor did not teach me eschatology. That's not area of focus. He's a great teacher. Love him, respect him, but that's not his cup of tea. I research, I study, I wanted to know more. I love the supernatural. My birth was supernatural. I've always had interest in the supernatural aspect of life. Very physical, very aggressive. I thank God for the grace of the Lord, but I'm not somebody you want to encounter outside of Jesus Christ. I ain't take 2 seconds to blow you to take that gun from a holster. That's the kind of person I grew up. That's how I grew up. Gary, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. That's why you're my covenant brother. You think when I call you my covenant brother, you think it's just because I'm your pastor? No. Because if I had grown up in America, that's exactly how I'm going to be. I was never afraid of a damn thing. Forgive my French. So people knew me back then. I was like, wow, is this guy a pastor? That's why almost everybody in my family who saw my conversion got saved. I was the black sheep. Mother and father got saved, got in my church before they passed and went to the Lord. Cousins, relatives. Because I wasn't a nice guy growing up. Okay? So you have to be fully cognizant that when these things begin to happen, Jesus said, change your focus. Life is about eternity. 1,000,000 years from today, you will still be alive. The only question is where? I know we want to water down this gospel and make everything feel okay because we don't want to ruffle feathers. We want people to come to church and feel comfortable. The purpose of church is not to make you feel comfortable. It's to provoke you to constantly change. Now, we are balanced. We'll tell you about God's love and God's grace and God's faithfulness. But we'll also teach you that he is a consuming fire. And it's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the Lord. Balance is all I ask. Preaching lopsided Christianity is diabolical. So now you have these things flying around, being investigated by all the international secret services, all these guys, all of them, the CIA, the FBI, all of them, Mossad, all of the KGB, all of them, I don't know if they still call it KGB, but they're studying what are these things. I mean, they can defy the laws of physics. They can fly, but they can swim. They can move in the air, but they can submerge. They have seen some of these things that are 2 football field size. Mini city. And one day they're going to make their appearance. You think V, the Final Battle, was a movie? Hollywood is not entertaining you. Hollywood is indoctrinating you. Hollywood is not built on entertainment. It's all about grooming. You are being desensitized. The spirit realm has been trivialized. So we live in a culture that celebrates Halloween, and 1 month, 2 months later, 1 month later, they celebrate Thanksgiving, and 1 month later, they celebrate Christmas. Everything is commingled. Why? They are trivializing the realms of the spirit. You think it's an accident that you celebrate in October you do Halloween, in November you do Thanksgiving, and then in December you do Christmas? You think the devil is joking with you? So everything seems to be commingled. You think the occult is a joke? You think Halloween is a game? Now Epstein mails are out. Now we see that these people are literally doing these things. Babies are being sacrificed. Children are being consumed. I told you all of these practices, that the abomination that they were legalizing, are things they did in private. But because they are the movers and shakers of the globalist movement, they are now imposing these atrocities and abomination upon our sons and daughters. And we think they're cool. And Christians are celebrating these reprobates. Shake hands with a politician, you think you're special. You know what those hands have done? Man, leave me alone here. So, Paul is saying, no, let's go back to Revelation. Now, again, Revelation 12, it's the tribulation. I am simply borrowing the information to share with you that the enemy's targets, and this is why we stand with Israel. So we are told in Revelation 12:17, the dragon was angry with the woman. Pay attention to verse 17. Because the woman has 2 offsprings. Yeah, my man. Yeah, Stephen. We want to take picture with Obama. I want to take picture with George McKinney. Yeah, we think we're special when we meet these politicians. Now, Epstein telling you what these guys do in secret. I love Jesus. I honor Jesus. I respect them. I don't idolize no human being. Hollywood is a cesspool. Revelation 12:17. The dragon was enraged with the woman and went to make war with the rest of her offspring. how can you detach yourself from the woman, Israel? But her offspring has two branches. It's clear in Revelation 12:17. The dragon was angry at the woman is Israel, and he went to make war with her offspring. Now, who are the offspring of the woman? It tells you here. Those who keep the commandments of God. If you visit Israel on Friday, Saturday, the entire nation stands still. Sabbath. Even the very hotel you are in, they are telling you, we're giving you cold food. Nothing will be cooked. Friday, 6 o'clock p.m. to Saturday, 6 p.m. The nation of Israel stands still. They are still keeping the command of the Shabbat. Especially if you're in Jerusalem. So, the woman has two offshoots. There are those who keep the commandments of God and those who have the testimony of Jesus Christ. I don't know why your theologians can see this. Are all Jews automatically saved? No. That is another error that another group in America upholds. Because the Bible says all Israel will be saved. So they say, no, all Israel will be saved when Jesus returns. He will rescue. The word save also means to rescue, to deliver. Doesn't mean saved to go to heaven. Without Jesus Christ, no Jew is saved. Nicodemus was a Jew. Saul of Tarsus was a Jew. Peter was a Jew. But that doesn't take away from the reality that the gifts and callings of God are irrevocable, because God chose Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and out of Jacob came the 12 sons, and out of the 12 sons came the nation. God's choice, the word chosen, simply means you were God's choice. That's all. Why? Mankind fell in the garden. And in order to bring about the Savior, God had to find someone that would obey him. And that someone that obeyed him was Abraham. And so God cut a covenant with Abraham, circumcision, and was passed on to his son Isaac, Jacob, and the entire nation. And God said, my covenant with you, Abraham, is an everlasting covenant. Can someone tell me, when does everlasting end? Does grace end the everlasting covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? But again, Constantine, the Nicene Council, decoupled Christianity from her Jewish roots. And since the days of Constantine, Christians began to disassociate themselves because they felt that Israel rejected Christ, so they should reject Israel. What happened between Israel and her Savior and her Messiah, I got nothing to do with it. They will be punished sufficiently. The Antichrist will wipe out, is it 1/3 or 2/3 of the Jews? Read Zechariah. They will be punished. But as to whether God has rejected them because of the church, your theology is whack. Everlasting still means everlasting. So, from this woman, there are those who keep the commandments. Christians don't keep commandments unless you're SDA. There's only one command we keep: love. That's all. Love God, love people. And so the Bible is clear in Revelation 12:17. The dragon was enraged with the woman and went to make war with the rest of her offspring, those who keep the commandment and those who testify of Jesus Christ. Yes, there will be Christians in a tribulation. There will be Christians left behind who will take God serious after they are left behind. They are called tribulation saints. You see that? If we just slow down and read this Bible from the Jewish mindset and not from the Western Eurocentric mindset, it makes perfect sense. I struggled with biblical interpretation. My hermeneutics was whack until the Lord said to me, son, now that you are in the United States, begin to study my word from the Jewish perspective. That's what has helped me. I'm not carried away. I'm not moved. Nothing happens around the world and I'm faced. We understand the signs. We understand the times. Why do we study prophecy? We have 8 different reasons, but I just want to give you one. The Bible tells us very clearly in 1 Thessalonians 5, 1-4. Let's focus on verse 4. You, brethren, are not in darkness, lest these days come upon you unawares. Jesus coming as a thief in the night is not supposed to catch you unawares. Why? The rapture saint live their Christian life daily with the revelation of imminency. The doctrine of imminency teaches me that the rapture has no sign. It's a signless event, not the second coming. If I'm left behind, the Antichrist takes over. He established a 7-year covenant with Israel and the Arab. He established a covenant with many for 1 week, 7 years, Daniel chapter 9:27. Once that is done and I'm on this earth, I'm gone. Because I know 7 years after this covenant, Jesus returns. The second advent is predictable. Will I know the day or hour? No. But I look at what is happening at the Battle of Armageddon. I look at how close the Antichrist is about to wipe Israel out. I look at when Israel is celebrating the feast of what? Atonement. That's when he comes back. September, October. So we will not be able to discern the second return of Jesus to the day and don't know the day and hour. No, we can't. But we will have enough evidence. Look, no one who has studied the tribulation can imagine that the church will be left behind to go through a tribulation. Everyone who says the church will be left behind have not studied the tribulation. The tribulation begins in Revelation chapter 6. In Revelation 6, 25% of the earth population are dead. Oh, you know, the church will be good. Tribulation. Then there's a great tribulation. The whole tribulation is great. 25% of what? 9 billion. What are you talking? Oh, the church will go through the first half, but the church will not go through the whole tribulation, great tribulation. Oh, the church will go through the entire 7 years. So Jesus comes for the church, comes in Revelation chapter 19. He returns to the earth, rapture the church, and comes back with the church. Many theologians are not thinking when they support those ideas. It's called post-tribulationism. That Jesus comes for the church after the tribulation. When does the bema occur? When does the marriage supper occur? The church does not go through the tribulation. However, Christians will go through the tribulation. Why? They were left behind. Someone told them they were eternally secure. So they let down their guard and they were no longer pursuing more of God. You lose your fire, you're not going to rapture. Thank you, Pastor Shirley. So Paul was trying to correct the church of Thessalonica. He had just taught them, remember, 1 Thessalonians 5 follows 1 Thessalonians 4. When the Bible was written, there were no chapters and verses. 1 Thessalonians 4, I'll show you that we will not all die. At the last trumpet, the trumpet sound, the dead in Christ will be raised, and we that are alive shall be caught up with the Lord to meet him in the air. Comfort one another with these words. Verse 18. Then he goes over to chapter 5. But you, brethren, are not in darkness, lest these days catch you unawares. So you are not supposed to be oblivious and ignorant of the signs of the times. The purpose of prophecy is not to fear you. The purpose of prophecy is to prepare you. Well, Pastor Nebel like to teach end times. He makes people afraid. If you're afraid of end times, you're not saved. Why? He comes for his bride first. Watch and pray that you be counted worthy to escape all these things that are coming upon the earth and to stand before the Son of Man. And so once a month, going forward, we will try to update you with all of these events that are happening and help you make these signs make sense. Matthew 24, he gives you the signs. He talks about wars and rumors of wars and earthquakes and famines in diverse places. And he said, when all these things begin to converge, that is, they're happening simultaneously and they're happening increasingly. There's an intensification. Long before they were talking about the return of the Nephilims, we've been teaching it. Because Jesus said it will be like the days of Noah. What happened in the days of Noah? There was an incursion. Read the book of Enoch. Fallen angels came and began to procreate. And now you use a human understanding and your rationale, and you say, oh, yeah, angels can have. Who told you that? They are fallen angels. So even when it comes to their spiritual makeup, they are different from Michael and Gabriel. So if the Bible tells us the days are going to be like the days of Lot, no argument, we are in the days of Lot. No matter how the church can try to decorate it, redefine it, this is the days of Lot. We got no argument about that. Why are you confused about the days of Noah? Dr. Bushry. So if we have no argument that we are living in the days of Lot, why are you arguing about the days of Noah? Because of wrong theology. The sons of Seth produced those hybrids. How is it possible? Because I'm of this ethnicity and my wife is of another ethnicity, so we're going to produce Nephilims. The word giant is Nephilim. And Nephilim is a hybrid. The mark of the beast changes your identity. You listen to these guys that are advocating transhumanism. They are telling you clearly we will enhance humanity. We will make mankind better than the way God made him. Noah Harari and other folks. The thing about it is that they are not hiding it from us. It's all in the open what they are heading towards. There will be a one-world government. There will be a one-world currency. There will be a one-world religion. And then they will use technology to attempt to change the genetic makeup of humanity. Some people were thinking, say, the COVID vaccination was it. No, the COVID vaccination was not it. It was RNA though, but that was not it. What was COVID about? It was beta testing. They shut down the whole world to see how people will respond when the real thing shows up. They always have to test before they bring the real one. So, Paul is very clear. In Romans chapter 9, he gives us a list of 9, 1 to 5, proving that Israel is God's chosen people. I'm not taking you to 11. He said, because they remain God's, they adopted, to whom pertain to the adoption. The manifestation of God's glory came through them. Then he said, the covenants. Remember what I told you? The new covenant was made with the Jews. All the apostles in the upper room, when the Last Supper was celebrated, this is my blood in the new covenant. They were all Jews. The church of Pentecost, when Pentecost came, they were Jews. So the early church was based not on Rome. The early church was built on Jerusalem. So Paul is giving you a list of qualification. This is why they are chosen. They were adopted. The glory of God was revealed through them. Moses, the glory came down. They were given the covenants, plural. He didn't say the covenant. So he's speaking of the old covenant and the new covenant. Moses came from the mountain and said, this is the blood of the old covenant. He sprinkled the 10 commandments with blood and wasted it on Israel. And they said, we agree. That's the 10 commandments. And Jesus came and went into the upper room and brought the new covenant. So now you are teaching Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are not New Testament. You just got to do basic contract law. A simple knowledge of contract law will tell you that Jesus was establishing a contract, a covenant in the upper room. How can you have a contract if there are no terms of the contract? Everything written by the epistles are commentaries on Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Cannot contradict it. Peter said, yes, the writings of Paul are hard to understand, but the scripture, a fisherman interpreting the writing of a doctorate degree in theology. So he gave you 8 reasons why they are still chosen in Romans 9, 1 to 5. To whom pertained the adoption, the glory came through them. The covenants came through them. The giving of the law came through them. The service of God in the temple came through them. The promises, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, came through them. The fathers came through them. Then he says in verse 8, and of whom, as concerning the flesh, Christ came, who is over all God. Paul is saying to the Gentiles who wants to oppose the legitimacy of God's relationship with Israel under the new covenant, replacement theology is not new, it's right here. Why do you think Paul wrote Romans 9, 10, and 11? He's dealing with the controversy. You act as though these things are new. Has God forsaken Israel? 11:1. God forbid. What is this? But if you want to diligent, this is why I always say to some of the leaders in our community, if you do not understand global events, you don't understand what the Arab world are attempting to do, Hezbollah and Iran and Hamas, and if you don't understand the Islamic agenda, Israel must be annihilated before the Islamic Messiah, who is called the Mahdi, can come. The people, the Ayatollahs are not fighting a ideological war against Israel. It's a religious war. Hamas is not ideological. It's not. They're not fighting based upon, you live and let live. Hamas and Hezbollah. You're trying to dissect what is happening in the Middle East, but you do not even understand the agenda of Islam, especially Shia Islam. That is Sunni in Saudi Arabia, Jordan. They're more laid back, liberal. But Shia Iran, the Mahdi is in a well in Iran. Tell you who the Mahdi is. He's in a well, in a hole. And to rise, Israel must be destroyed. The world must be in a state of chaos. So you want to interpret what happened in Gaza, but you don't understand the agenda of Hamas. You want to interpret what's happening with Lebanon, but you don't understand the agenda of Hezbollah. You want to understand why America, God has a president who wants to prevent Iran from obtaining nuclear weapon, but you don't understand the religious ideology of the Ayatollahs. Israel has to be wiped out. America is the great Satan, the great serpent, and Israel is a junior mini serpent, small serpent. I don't understand the church. Revelation 12:17. The woman offspring, those who keep the commandment, and those who have the testimony of Jesus Christ. So rather than allowing Western theologians to decouple our relationship with Israel, we embrace her, we pray for her, we encourage her. And where there are Jews who are open, because for the first time since Pentecost, many Jews are opening their hearts and receiving Yeshua as the Messiah. That's another sign of the end. And that is clearly stipulated, in the book of Romans chapter 11. So once a month, we want to take time out of our business schedule and simply come and say, look, what is occurring in our world today? It is so profound. Don't allow yourself to be overwhelmed and carried away. Don't allow yourself to reach a state where you are discouraged. Don't allow yourself to reach a state where you are distracted. If the enemy can stop you, he keeps you busy. When these things begin to happen, lift up your head and rejoice. Allegory. Lift up your head doesn't mean I woke up every morning and walk outside and say, oh, what a sunny day, Jesus is coming today. No. He is speaking allegorically. When you observe these things happening and converging, change your focus. So he's even warning us. Then we go to Revelation, we go to Romans. Let me touch a little bit on Romans 11. Romans 11 is a key to understand. It's a whole compact. You got to read 10, 11, and 12. But 9, 10, and 11. But to really grasp the conclusion as it pertains to Israel's role in the end time, again, everyone has to be saved by grace. But God's agenda for them has not been abrogated by the involvement of the church. He still has an agenda for them. At the rapture, Jesus comes for the bride. At the second coming, he's coming to rescue Israel. So we have Paul concluding this message on Israel's role in the end times and God's agenda for Israel. And he concludes in Romans 11. Romans 11. I say then, has God cast away his people? Certainly not. For I also am an Israelite, of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. God has not cast away his people whom he foreknew, adopted. The word foreknew also means chosen. Another version says God has not rejected his people whom he chose. And then if you continue to read, he warns the church, don't be prideful. Don't be arrogant. Do not marginalize and isolate God's chosen people. You have not replaced them. And if God can break out some of the branches so that you are attached, he can also break you off. So forgive me, but I honestly believe that those of us who claim to be erudite theologians, and you can read Romans 11 and still claim that Israel is not God's chosen people, this is intellectual dishonesty. Some of us don't have the theological schooling you have. But for anyone who can just comprehensively look at Romans 11 and deny God's agenda for Israel, especially in this end time, I'm about to bust your bubbles, you Christians. You are being dishonest, honestly. Because Paul warns us who are Gentile Christians. You are not better than them. You are not superior to them. The only reason why you are called chosen is because you are attached as a branch to the tree. It's not the branch that supports the tree. It's the tree that supports the branch. So for anyone who is confused about replacement theology and Israel's role in the end time, like I said, this guy wrote this, this Sampono book. This is his dissertation, his PhD dissertation. He said the Israelology of Jesus, the missing link in systematic theology. Because many of our Western theologians had this hatred towards Israel, they simply presented a theological understanding of the Bible that isolated the role of Israel, God's chosen people. They did it intentionally. I'm reading some commentary and it said Revelation 17, the woman is, Revelation 12, the woman is the church. And I'm like, how can the church give birth to the Messiah? I thought it was Israel who gave birth to the Messiah, and then the Messiah gave birth to the church. Why did he pierce his side? Water and blood came out. Where was Eve taken from? But there are theologians who have I went to commentaries, reading commentaries on Revelation 12. That's how I am. When I'm teaching, I'm studying. And I'm reading the research, and I'm like, the woman is the church? So the church gave birth to Jesus? Be careful. Don't allow these titles to cause you to lose your Berean attitude. And that's how I've been from a child. Edward, do this, I'll ask you why. What's in it for me? How is it going to benefit me? If it doesn't make sense to me, I'd say, I'm doing it. Oh, they're but disrespectful with me, I'm gone. That's how I grew up. I would ask questions. I would challenge authority. The status quo, why must I, if everybody's doing it, why can't you? I'm like, nah, that's because everybody, from time I was a child, international school, Lanko Yekepa, E-school, the teachers, I was always going up to the principal office. I wouldn't follow what everyone was doing. And when I got saved, he sanctified it. He didn't take it away. He purged it. So I ask questions. I investigate. I go to the original language. I go to commentaries. Until I have peace. This system that is developing among conservative Christians. You got Candace Owen. You got this other guy. They're all out there using their platform to denigrate. None, the other guy, what's his name, Glenn Beck, or whatever he is that his name? Whatever. He's a Mormon. The Mormon church teaches that they have replaced Israel. They are God's chosen people. The Catholic Church teaches that the Rome has replaced Israel. So Candace is Catholic. The other one is Mormon. And then the evangelical Christians are listening to them and say, yes, God is done with Israel. Did you ever investigate their theology before you agree with Candace? Or before you agree with this? I've forgotten his name. He just interviewed the U.S. ambassador in Israel. It's not Glenn Beck. Yes, there's someone else. The guy's a Mormon. The Mormon doctrine teaches that the Mormon church has replaced Israel. They are now the Israel of God. The Roman Catholic believe the Pope is the Papa. He has replaced everybody, including Jesus Christ. So at times when some of these commentators are there talking and berating and agreeing with Islam, you got to ask them, what's your theology? Have you read Romans 11? Have you read Revelations 12? Why is a dragon after these people? Tucker Carlson, thank you, my son. This is why I tell people I don't lie when I teach them, because I got people here who know what they're doing. They will pick up my falsehood. And some of them have heard me teaching from Africa. The only thing I have access to more information now, fundamentally, is still Matthew 24 I'm teaching. It's still Daniel I'm teaching. It's still the book of Revelation I'm teaching. We simply have access to more information. So Tucker Carlson is Mormon. Candace Owen is Roman Catholic. How do you expect them to see Israel? This is why I continue to say to my people till this day in Tri-C, question me, be a Berean. Do not be gullible when it comes to your spiritual diet and spiritual appetite. God has not abandoned his people. Do they need salvation? Yes. Does God still have a plan for their redemption? Yes. And this is what happens when Jesus returns. That is why the Bible says all Israel shall be saved. Romans 11. Every Jew that is alive at the second coming, the goat and sheep nation, every Jew that is alive shall receive executive clemency to enter into the millennium, where the Gentile nations will be judged. Those who receive Jesus during the tribulation are the sheep. Those who receive the mark of the beast and rejected Christ are the goat nation. Hey, thank you. You see, that is why I love systematic theology. I love to study the Bible systematically. You're not just all over the place. You can't be random. You got to follow the order. But what is important is that each of us must daily investigate and ensure that we are walking with the Lord, that no matter when he shows up, we are ready. And that's my emphasis. You don't have to agree with me concerning Israel rule in the end time. You don't. You don't have to agree with me. But make sure that you do not have an animosity against God's chosen people. And that causes you to lose out when the rapture occurs. The rapture is not for Israel. It's for the church. Second advent, all Israel is saved. All. It's called executive clemency. Phony Zechariah. God bless you. Once a month. This program is only once a month. We are giving you prophetic updates. I did not go deep into the UFO and the UAP because I'm waiting for the president. Thank you, Pastor J. I'm waiting for the president, Donald Trump, to release the official files. Then we will dive into what are these entities? Why are they here at this time? In the occult, they told us these things would appear. And what would be the purpose? Jesus said, when these things, because these things will begin to come upon the earth, the heart of man will fail. He said, if you are not careful, even the elect will lose their place, will be deceived. Even the elect. You know what the doctrine of election means? May God bless you. May God keep you. May Yahweh make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May Yahweh lift up his countenance upon you and grant you shalom. We live in quite exciting times. Don't lose your place. And Stephen Elsa, y'all on the East Coast, huh? Y'all used to be putting your muff on me. Oh, that's my other son was talking to this morning. You guys on the East Coast, where is he? They used to, you're always on Minnesota. Oh, Minnesota got plenty of snow. You guys you don't have snow. You have snowmogadam or whatever. But we cool in Minnesota. It gets cold. The cold lasts for a long time, but we cool. We don't have a lot of snow out here. Yeah, why didn't I answer him the morning on Facebook? God bless you guys. Once a month. Next month, we'll do one more. I'm waiting for Donald, for President Trump to, I don't think he might do that because I'm not sure society is ready to deal with the reality that there are extraterrestrials in our midst and they are all evil. Don't get carried away. They are not friends. This is the deception that Jesus spoke of, that if possible, even the elect will be deceived. God bless you.